You are listening to the Gritty Podcast, where we talk about all things gritty. Life is not easy. It never was, and it never will be. A good life takes grit. Prioritize who you are and who you want to be, because life isn't fair, and a little grit can make all the difference.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm your host for the evening, the Gritty Broman. Brian is out of town for this next week. He's on a bear hunt with Ryan Lampers and Jeff Lusk. So keep your eyes peeled. You're probably going to be seeing some footage from that in the future. On today's podcast, Brian and I go over the gear that he's taking on this hunt. We're also going to do a couple other episodes where we talk about the food that Brian brings. We also did another podcast on the camera gear he chose to bring on this hunt. On this podcast, Brian just talks about like the everyday gear, what walking sticks he's bringing, what's his foot system look like, what are his clothing systems, the everyday stuff he's going to be using. It's a good podcast. You're going to enjoy it. On another note, we have coming up, if you live in Pennsylvania or you live anywhere near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, May 29th, we have the Mountain Ops movie night. We're going to be showing the film Untamed, along with Chad Mendez's film, Discipline, the Anger Mountain production DIY elk hunt from this last year. That's Nick Schmidt and Jason Phelps, those guys. Trevor Farnes, the co-founder from Mountain Ops, has a movie called Time and Attention. Get your tickets. They're going to sell out fast. Go to mountainops.com/events. It'll take you directly to the event page. You can pick up your tickets there. Or you can go to mountainops.com, and on the top of the page, there's a tab that says events. Click on the tab. It'll take you to the tickets. That's it. Let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and I am joined by my brother, the Gritty Broman. How are you, Brent?
I'm well. Thank you.
Today's podcast, we're going to go over the gear that I am taking with me to my 2-week bear hunt. It's a wilderness hunt. We're hiking in pretty far, and it's going to be, 8-9 days back there. So trying to pack as light as I can, but bring everything I want. So I'm just going to break it down to you what I've got. And one caveat leading into this is what I've got. This is how I'm doing it. By all means, everyone can do it their own way, right? This is just to share with you how I do it. And this is not to say you need everything that I have. You can do this stuff in a pair of blue jeans and a flannel shirt if you want to. Everybody's got their budget and the things that they can afford. This is just to help you get an idea of what I'm doing. And if you can leverage that, that's great. Okay. So, my pack, I've got everything right here that I'm bringing with me, except my sleeping bag. I'm just going to weigh this here. This doesn't have my food in it. I'm going to cover that separately. Just weighing the bag here as is. 34 pounds is what it is. So I'll break it down what I've got in the bag. It's 34 pounds, and I've got here my Garmin InReach, which Ryan Lampers and Jeff Lusk, we might split up and go different directions, but we also want to stay in touch with our families, and we're going to be out there where there's no cell phone coverage. So the Garmin InReach is pretty legit for that. So every day we can contact our families, text. We can also text each other. Like if Ryan and I split up, he goes, an hour one way or a few miles one way. We can kind of stay in touch while we're out hunting. So I've got this new bottle here. It's the same size as an Nalgene. It's stainless steel. I like that. I don't like drinking out of plastic as much. It's just a little bit heavier than a standard Nalgene. It's also insulated, so I can put my hot apple cider in here, my apple cider Ignite. You can put whatever hot liquids you like in here or cold. And I haven't tested it yet, but I'll let you know when I get back from the hunt what I think. I think I'm going to really like that. I hate that my water can freeze sometimes when I'm on a late season hunt. I do like to use a bottle. It's just my style. I like to use a SteriPen water filter when I'm in the mountains, high country. I think, the water's usually pristine up there as it is. There's no big chunks in it. It's nice, clean water. I just like to run it through with the SteriPen and drink it. So there's going to be plenty of water where we're at. On the outside of the pack here, I've got these trekking poles. These are called sissy sticks. Don't really like the name, but they are made out of carbon fiber, and they have clip locks, and the bottom half is made out of aluminum. And I really like that design because as I've discussed with a few people, including Ryan Lampers, he runs all aluminum poles because carbon fiber can break. Aluminum bends, carbon fiber can break. So you can be hiking out pretty deep, and the bottom of the pole just snaps off. But what's cool about this pole is this whole section right here is all aluminum. So it's got that stability. If it does, it won't snap off and break. But you're benefiting from the lightweight carbon up above. They're pretty lightweight. You can look those guys up and see for yourself what you like there. The other thing I've got is this right here. I have Leupold carbon fiber tripod, little pan head here. I like this one we're going to be hunting bears in some big mountainous country. So this tripod, I like a smooth panning head, and I've got a spotter. My spotter is in here. I'll pull that out here. Got the spotter here. It's the new Leupold Santiam spotter. I like to be able to, you just need a tripod when you're running a spotter. I also will put my binos on here too, depending on the distance. My 10 power binos, and I'll show you those later. And glass. So that's the spotter and the tripod. For a different hunt, I might leave my tripod home and even a spotter. But for this type of hunt, we're just going to be glassing a lot. We're just covering country, hoping to find a bear that's out feeding, moving in the springtime. The other thing that's cool about this, as a side note, my camera, which I'll go over my camera gear on a different podcast, but I do run a Peak Designs clip that goes on my backpack strap. Camera clips right on there. I like that, and I have this Peak Designs shoulder strap that I also run, so I can just kind of sling it over my shoulder if I want to run it that way. But what's cool about this Leupold tripod that I've discovered is that my Peak Design clip that I use to clip onto my camera, it slides right into this tripod head and locks in. So I can use my Peak Design clip on my camera on my shoulder, and then I can just slap it right on this tripod as well and start filming. And in the past, it's been tough because I'm running the Peak Design clip so I can strap it to my pack, but then when I want to put it on a tripod to get some video, I'm hamstrung because then I got to unscrew the Peak Design and put a plate on it so I can mount it to a tripod, and it's a pain. So it's pretty cool because, like I said, this Peak Design clip slides right into this, and it's compatible. It's not supposed to go in there, but it fits perfectly, and then you can lock it down with the set screw here. So pretty happy about that. So I've been debating on rain gear, what rain gear to bring, and my experience has been that it's not that productive to hunt bears in a pouring rain. You pretty much just sit tight and wait for them to come out after the rain stops. If I was hunting elk or something else, I would probably bring rain gear, as I'd be charging through the woods and calling bulls and doing my thing in the pouring rain. But because bear are the way they are, I don't really see them out moving in a heavy rain. They kind of tuck away, wait for the rain to go away, and then they come back out again. So that's what we're going to do. So what I brought was, I just brought the Flash, Sitka's light Flash rain gear top. It's super, super small. It's right here. It's just this little, I've got it in this little Kafaru stuff sack. But here it is, just this little rain piece here. It's just to pull over, throws it on, kind of keeps you a little dry, blocks the wind, and it's not technically, it's not super waterproof, but it's pretty good. So So that's the rain jacket here. And then otherwise, I brought this Z-Packs Cuban fiber tarp. This is a tarp I've had for a really long time. And it weighs 6 ounces. It's like 12 by 10, I think, or 10 by 8 or something. It's very big. And it's all outfitted with cord and everything. We have our tent, so we already have some tent stakes there if I wanted to. I can pitch it with the poles and the tent stakes. We can throw this thing up, and all three of us, Lampers, Lusk, and I, can just all sit under this in glass and wait out a rain squall. Put all our gear under there so our packs aren't getting wet. I mean, one thing when you do put on just rain gear itself, all your stuff's still getting rained on. So this is really nice. I've used this in Oregon a lot. I would rather bring this for those spring showers that just come out, since I'm sitting around and not trudging through the woods. It's lighter than my rain gear setup. And what's cool about Cuban fiber is you can just wrap it around you. It's like plastic. It's not like sil nylon and other materials where if you touch it, or at least certain materials where if you touch it, it'll bleed through. The water will bleed through. Okay. Here I have my camera gear. I'll go over that on a different podcast. That's in there. Lots of batteries, some lens stuff, whatever. And then here is my cook pot and fuel. I have one larger fuel canister, and I went ahead and went for this Minimo because Lampers really recommended it based on, I have a flash, jet boil, and I have a couple different stoves. I have an old pocket rocket, whatever. But Ryan's like, one of the things that annoys me about the flash is you can't fine tune the heat, and it's either like all on or all off. And so I've dehydrated my own foods, and Ryan Lampers was explaining how when you rehydrate it, it's so much faster and easier to do it when you can simmer it, get it going, and keep it hot while it's warming. Rather than just dump hot water in a bag and sit there, you can throw it right into the pot. So it's got that soup-sized pot with it. It's about the same weight as everything else, but now I can kind of actually stir it and use it. So there you have it. This Sea to Summit spoon is a must-have. Every one should have this. It's an awesome spoon. It's titanium, long, so you're not sticking your hand in there. Anyway, that's my stove setup. Right here, I just have some socks, and so I love to run these Gore-Tex socks, these Gore socks. They don't make them anymore, but I like a long sock like this because it goes up to my knee, basically. And the way I like to run it is I'll wear, Lampers just turned me on to these, which I'm excited to try. These are Ingene socks, Ingingy, yeah, that. And they're toed socks. And he used them on his death hikes and all last year and swears by them. In the past, I've just used these Smart Wool wool liners, thin black sock wool liners. I'm a big believer, so is Ryan, in a sock liner. So these are my sock liners, and then I've got a couple pairs of these knee-high Gore socks, and I like the material in them. They wick moisture away. They're just awesome. But then they also keep me warm because I'll explain in a minute. But I just like to run that. So I got a little bit of underwear in here. That's kind of personal. But anyway, that's the feet. That's the socks. I just have a Thermarest Neo Air, the lightweight, one of the lighter ones they've got. I've been using that air pad for eons. In here I've got clothes. I'm just using Sea to Summit stuff sacks for everything. So if it rains, whatever, everything stays dry inside the bag. So back to the socks I was wearing. I like to wear gaiters. I like to wear those socks knee high. I like to put the gaiters on, and then I like to wear my pants over the gaiters. Okay. And when my pants get wet and water runs down my pant, it runs on the outside of my gaiter and outside of my my boot. When you run your gaiters over the top of your pants and your pants get wet, they wick down, and then it goes inside your gaiter, and then it gets your socks wet, and then it soaks into your boot, and then your feet are wet, and your inside of your boots get wet. So it's a little trick Barklow told me. I'll never go back. John Barklow at Sitka, I wear my gaiter over those long socks, my pants over the top of the gaiter, and I pretty much am waterproof from the knee down. So, and then I'll throw on that flash rain jacket from the waist up. And so the only area that doesn't have waterproofing on is right around my thighs and crotch area. And I'm just one of those people that runs really hot. So I don't like to have heavy pants, warm pants. I'd rather wear these things knee high with my socks, and then if I get hot, I can shimmy those down, take my gaiters off, throw those back on. It's versatile. I don't want to pack heavy rain gear, like a full-on set of rain gear. So that's how I like to do it, and I'll be wearing probably, over here's my bag of gear that I'll wear in. It's got all my stuff in it that I'll wear in. These are Sitka Ascent. They're lightweight pant. Like I said, this will be over the gaiter. Got the knee pad here, which I've been running the last couple of years. I really like. I just need a lot of breathability for me from the waist to the knees, right in that space. If I could run a kilt, and really, I think I could rock that, but that'd be more my style. So then I've got I've got one of these Sitka ball caps. If it rains a lot, sometimes I like to swap out my regular hat for something like this where it can dry very easily. And then I bring this beanie, which is the wind blocker beanie, and I like that one. Sometimes, though, I like one that's a little more breathable, so I'll run this big logo beanie. I don't know what they call this one, but it's another Sitka beanie. I like to have a couple options for hats, using hats to kind of regulate my temperature a little bit. I like it. It's probably a little redundant, but I just find that based on temperatures, sometimes I'll wear all three if it gets real cold. It's spring. You kind of don't know what's going to happen. We just had a cold front the other day that blew in here in Utah. It was like 75 one day, close to 80, I think. And then the next day it was like 27 degrees. In the spring, it's just unpredictable. So it's hard to tell what's going to happen. So you kind of bring clothing that kind of is, I want to go as light as I can, but I want to make sure I'm covered for various temperatures and conditions. So I bring these mitts. I probably don't need them, but when you're glassing for hours, if it's windy and cold, I hate, one thing that I do get is cold hands. I just like to glass with a big heavy mitt. And since we're going to be glassing for hours and hours, and it could get super cold, it might. I probably won't even use these. It probably won't even come out of my bag, but I'm going to bring them anyway. It's probably my one item that's super frivolous and I don't need, but I'm going to bring it anyway. And then this is the Apex hoodie. I like the weight of that. It's just about right. It's kind of, whether it's cold or hot, it might be a little warm, but we'll see. And then this is the Kelvin Light vest, insulated vest. I live and die by that. And then if it gets real cold, over here's the stuff I want accessible that I'm going to carry in. It's in this Yeti Panga. This bag is full of gear that I'll probably wear or keep ready. This is the Kelvin Light hoodie. So when I was in British Columbia hunting moose, when it was snowing and super cold, I brought the Sitka's heavy duty, down jacket. It's sort of like the Kifaru Lost parka, and it never came out of my bag. I pretty much just ran this vest and this Kelvin Light hoodie, and that was enough for everything just about. And if it gets cold or the wind's cutting through that, I can throw that rain jacket over the top, that flash jacket, and I think that's kind of all I'm going to need for this trip. Like I said, these are the Sitka scent pant that I'm wearing in there. Let me see. I think that's it. I am bringing this right here. This is the Core Light hoodie. And that's for, Ryan said it got like 80 degrees last year when they were there. Just in case. It's not that heavy. I'm bringing that as an option. And then I just have a synthetic undershirt right here, t-shirt that I'll wear. So that's kind of the clothing setup. I'll let you know if I regret anything later. I have some, also in there is a light pair of gloves that are just Sitka scent type light gloves that I'll wear. I'm bringing these mitts. I probably don't need them, but I'm bringing them. So there. These are my game bags. They're lightweight. They're called Graxaw. Lampers used them before. They're like a nylon type of game bag. Is super lightweight. He used them and he really liked them. I'm going to go ahead and give them a go. I do like how small and tiny and compact they are. So these are the sort of things like we can throw the quarters in. We can string them up in a tree. The bag can handle the loads, the knots or the string system, pull cords, all that. So that's cool. Lightweight. I think that's it for the main compartment here. And then right here I have my toothbrush, poop kit. I've got some Aquaphor, some lotion, toothpaste, like that kind of thing. That's my toiletry kit. And I've talked about that before. I like to have some lube for the old bum hole when you start hiking a lot. I need those areas can chafe a lot, so I use Aquaphor. And then I got some wipes and some toilet paper for number 2. And then here is I've got some bullets in this little pouch here. Not sure how many I'm going to backpack in with, but for now, that's what I've got in here. And then right here on this pouch for water, like I said, I've got the this bottle here, a microlight insulated bottle. It's the size of an Nalgene. And then here I have a 2-liter platypus. I have 2 of these, so I have 4 liters for the platypus. And usually what I would do is I'll just fill this up with water raw from the stream. And then whenever I want to drink it, I never drink directly out of the platypus. I just dump it into the bottle, and I just drink everything out of the bottle. I like these platypus. They're just, you can beat the crap out of them. They last forever. They're lightweight, super lightweight. And then, I've got the SteriPin as usual. Still one of my favorite deals. Ryan used this all last year too. It's super simple, especially where the water is mountain water. It's pretty nice. And then I've got this Possibles pouch, which kind of just has a little bit of everything in it that I might need so I got a couple Bic lighters in here. I've got like cord for tying things up. I got some replaceable blades for my Taito knife. I got a Taito knife in here. I've got another Bic lighter, and this one has Leuco tape wrapped around it, just in case I get a hot spot or some blisters. And get to it. Got some Band-Aids. I got some Imodium AD in case I get diarrhea. That's awful on the mountain. I've got a little bit of super glue in these little tiny packets. Super glue deal. I got the patch kits for like my Thermarest in case I pop a hole. I got waterproof matches in here. I've got a little bit of fire starter, various forms of fire starter. I got a compass in here for the apocalypse. I got a little backup headlamp in here. Just kind of a little bit of a lot of different things. In the past, I've taken some Benadryl. I don't have any allergies whatsoever. Never have had an allergic reaction, really, except to poison oak, poison ivy. Outside of that, it's like, I don't get that kind of thing. But if you are someone who can have an allergic reaction to a bee sting or something like that, some Benadryl. So that's my gear that I'm bringing. Like I said, what did I say, Brent? It was like 33 pounds or 34 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, right around there.
So that doesn't include my food. I weighed my food, and for 8 days of food, I'll go over the food here in a little bit, but food can weigh about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a day. So if you're in there 8 days, it could be, it could be 9 pounds, it could be 10 pounds, 16 pounds, somewhere. It can vary. I'll go over my food here in a minute, but yeah, I'm right around, 30, low 30s for weight. Oh, I forgot. I got in here my headlamp, which is this Black Diamond. I've talked about this one before. Black Diamond headlamp. I like it that you can lock it so it doesn't accidentally come on, and run the battery out while you're hiking into the mountain. So here's the gun. I've got a Solo Hunter rifle cover on it. I like that in case it's raining or heavy, whatever. I do like to just throw it on there. It's easy, comes right off like this. And then I got this Leupold scope on here that I got dialed the other day, VX6. I had to build up the stock here a little bit because it was a little low. It's a Christensen Arms Ridgeline 300 Win Mag. And then it's got a Harris bipod on it, some super lightweight, their lightweight one that Casey lent to me, Casey Harbison, and was shooting it out to 500 yards yesterday. Put probably 8 or 9 bullets right in the money spot. So it's dialed. I shot at 200, 300, 460, just different ranges, and I feel ready. So that's the gun. And the only thing I got to be mindful of is the earplugs, because it's got the muzzle brake on it, and it about deafens me if I don't pay attention to that. So it's a very nice rifle. So that's it. That's it for what I'm bringing along, and I will keep you posted when I get back. I'll kind of do a post-hunt review and let you know what worked, what didn't work. But hope that was useful. Stay gritty, folks.